Shanti, and good evening, and welcome to the first session of Meditation 101, Myth Busting. And so these aren't necessarily, you can say they're standalone if you miss this one and you'll be coming to the next session. I won't be too big of a loss, but again, these are recorded. So today's session, before we start, the topic is about closed eye or open eye meditation. And so before we start with a reflection, just a warm reminder that this is in the context of Raja Yoga. And so it is a tool of use that's in Raja Yoga. And so, of course, meditation is used in different practices as well. So this is the myth busting in terms of how meditation is used in this particular study. So since it's the first session, and if you are someone who's coming because you're grappling with meditation, we will start with a very basic approach to what we often use in this study is reflection, contemplation versus meditation. And so I invite you basically just to be very casual, very informal, like you're sitting in a tea shop, like you're waiting by a bus stop, or you're sitting in the passenger seat of the car, or perhaps the driver's seat, and you're just in that contemplative mode. And so just remembering that you've probably had moments like that. And so when you're not necessarily closing your eyes. So we're using that kind of attitude, that approach. So, and all you're doing is just beginning to reflect on some things like you do in those moments. And so I will guide you with some suggestions of things to think about. So that's why just be keeping your eyes open like you do in those times when you're just reflecting on some things, and perhaps maybe reflecting on what has drawn me into this session. And just thinking about it, is there a pull? Just an honest checking in with yourself. Is there a pull because I'm interested in meditation? Maybe you've never tried meditation. Maybe I have tried it and am challenged with that in any practice I'm doing in my life. So just a very basic approach to just checking in with a reflective question for yourself. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. And so what comes up? As if you're having a dialogue inside with yourself. What is my experience of meditation? Or why have I come to this session? So giving a few moments. And it's, again, not about trying to force an answer. Checking in my own reflective inner space. Ideas that I might have, maybe even hidden impressions I have. And when I feel that I'm not trying to formulate an answer for anyone but myself, it invites more authenticity, more honesty in what emerges inside. And I can move on to another question for myself connected to this. It is, do I feel that there is some benefit I am trying to seek in meditation? So, is there some benefit I'm hoping to seek in meditation? And why am I seeking for that benefit? Again, being open to whatever answers come through inside. And sometimes the answer might be obvious, and sometimes it's not. And so sometimes it's about revisiting maybe an already known answer inside to really refresh again my intention. Being clear with myself, with my purpose, and being open to identifying that benefit or benefits I seek. Sometimes I may have even a notebook beside me to write things down. But the intention of these types of very introductory questions is about getting to know myself. Om Shanti. And so, for those who are on Instagram and those who are on YouTube, you're always welcome to type any thoughts, questions, or comments on the chat box. We'll be keeping an eye out. Or if you don't feel comfortable, you're always welcome to email the center as well. And so this evening's session, they're meant to be very brief, but hopefully useful sessions in terms of what does meditation, what does it look like in this particular study? So before we even talk about meditation, the purpose of the study of Raja Yoga is really about gaining this inner mastery in terms of stability in my thinking, stability in terms of responding to just even day-to-day situations, to be able to be clear internally of what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and that helps me to make decisions. And at least I know for myself, that was a huge thing that really bothered me before being in this study, was not being able to be clear of what matters to me and to be clear that I can trust my own decision making. And I was just even listening to a senior student in the study share today that she's has lots of just difficult questions that other students ask her. But because there's an increased power of clarity, she's able to know what is the right thing to do without actually entangling herself in someone else's story and you can call it karmic accounts. And the moment I heard that, I was like, wow, I want that kind of self-mastery as well. Just feels like freedom for me, something that I've been looking for. And so in terms of that, ultimately it is really about peace and happiness, what Raja Yoga is about. Meditation is actually a word that most of the Raja Yoga students who are basically going deep into the study don't really actually use this word meditation. We do use it, but I would say it's definitely it's more about the experience versus the word itself. And so tonight's session is really about open eye or closed eye. This practice. Meditation, particularly in this study, is about an inquisitive and being able to inquire within yourself what's going on inside, asking really personally relevant questions, helping me go deeper in terms of seeing what is going on. What we're going to talk about, just to give you a very brief overview, tonight's session is about open eye versus closed eye meditation. And this myth about it's always about closing your eyes. And the next week, we'll be talking about that is meditation about just zoning out, about stopping your thinking, clearing your mind. So that's the second topic. The third topic is about, it's connected to meditation, is really about meaningful inner exploration. Doesn't have to be scary, but meaningful exploration. And the fourth one is that meditation is a means to create a bridge for insight and self-realization. So even though these 4 sessions can be standalone, they are basically building with one another with the intent of serving what Raja Yoga is about. So in light of the purpose of what Raja Yoga is about is gaining this sense of mastery, closing one's eyes, and we'll just try that as an experiment right now. I want you to close your eyes and just see what happens. We'll just close your eyes deliberately for 2 minutes. Okay, it might seem like a long time, but that's the whole point of this experiment, is to close your eyes for 2 minutes and see what happens if you just sit here and close your eyes and see what happens. And maybe in 30 seconds, I will invite another experiment as we keep this 2-minute eyes closed eye meditation. See what's happening, just noting my thinking, awareness, just observing. Maybe you don't notice anything. So as my eyes are closed, now I want to ask myself, what do I want in life? We're just picking a random reflective question. What do I want in life? Like the most important thing in my life. What do I seek for? So being open to that question with the eyes closed for another minute or so. So now I'm going to ask you to keep your eyes open again for a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you the same question, okay? So again, keeping this very informal and casual, like you're at a tea shop by yourself, you want some quiet time, you got your cup of tea with you, there's others, having their own enjoyed solitude or with friends, but you're in your little space and you're asking that same question. What do I want in life? So again, it's not that you have to focus on anything. It's what matters the most is actually the question itself. So just letting you sit again with that question. What do I want in life? What is the highest priority of what I'm seeking for? So I invite you to note down again, personally for yourself. You notice a difference with these two little small comparisons, closing my eyes and keeping my eyes open. And I invite you to experiment again and again. And you can try experimenting in terms of, what maybe it's about the question I ask, close eyes for a couple of minutes and ask myself the same reflective question with my eyes open. Or I can just even try to even see what happens if I'm trying to experience peace with my eyes closed, with my eyes open. And these sessions are also inviting you to discover for yourself. I can certainly tell you, and I will definitely share with you certain observations that I've made, but also what others have shared as well. But what makes it very powerful is when you start to notice things for yourself. And that's a part of actually the very last topic, which is about realization and insights. But it was very interesting in terms of closing my eyes. A few things, if you notice, can happen. There is more of a likelihood of your mind to wander. And that's already the whole point of why most people actually seek meditation, is that they find that their mind is already busy going all over the place. And so closing your eyes, there's more likelihood of falling asleep. And in most practices, the intention of meditation is not to fall asleep, although it is a very lovely experience. Specifically, though, in Raja Yoga, self-mastery isn't about pain. It's not about discipline in a very punitive way. It's about peace and happiness. And it's about transformation of my sense of attitude, my sense of awareness. And so falling asleep is really not actually helpful in the sense it's not really addressing the issue. Another thing about closing your eyes, and with many participants have observed this as well, is it feels very passive when you close your eyes. So I invite you to experiment so you can come to your own conclusions, because you will need to be able to discover for yourself. Is that what I feel? Is closing my eyes. Actually, I feel quite vulnerable. Like of course, we're in a safe space. Like it's not like anything's going to happen. But on a very subtle level, on a very subconscious level, we don't realize what kind of subtle things, impressions, and things are happening. And in this particular experiment that we're using, that could be happening as well. And so there's a passivity, there's a feeling of vulnerability that could be happening. And another thing that when it comes to, and you might have noticed when it comes to meditations, that reflective questions are quite common. And, or maybe it hasn't been, but in this case, again, with the intention of Raja Yoga is to be able to understand who you really are, to be able to transform your sense of identity of yourself, so that my experience of the world has everything to do with what I'm feeling inside. And so because it's really about something proactive, and you're asking yourself some meaningful, reflective questions, you start to realize, and I notice that as well myself, what does closing my eyes have anything to do with what these reflective questions are about? And so that becomes something that I have noticed, and many have noticed as well. Another thing about closed eyes is that it really shuts the world out. And the reason why individuals are looking for meditation is that they're grappling with the world. They're grappling with their day-to-day situations. And what you will notice is that these sessions all overlap to a certain extent. And so for some, they're comfortable with just shielding themselves to the world. But there will come a point in time when it's just not going to be enough to shield yourself from the world. And it's not about basically surrendering yourself to situations, but I'm actually learning, specifically in the study of Raja Yoga, a very clear definition of myself, a very clear experience of a sense of me, and be able to have the kind of healthy attitude and vision and awareness of myself that can stay consistent regardless of what's happening around me, regardless of events and outcomes, regardless of how others behave and respond and react. And sometimes people call those boundaries, but it's more, and that's what physically trying to sort of keep this distance between me and others, but that's a physical thing. What it is that we're really looking for is a definition of my sense of self experienced. If there's a very clear, defined sense of who I am, again, this is all about Raja Yoga, then this reflection or contemplation is what we use, is to really help to be able to strengthen my sense of self. And so keeping my eyes open, I also noticed as well, is that example question we use, what do I want in life? I could feel with the eyes open that there's a bit more of a feeling of intention, a feeling of conviction, a feeling of focus. And it also feels like what internally matters to me is not, what's happening around me is not relevant. Not meaning that I'm ignoring things, but what my keen interest is what's going on inside, and that I don't need to shut the world out to be able to learn to be clear of what's going on inside. Again, noticing that there are some quite subconscious things that happen when we close our eyes and when we open our eyes. And that's what some of these things I've already shared are subtle, subtle things that really either reinforce a feeling of shutting the world out, basically ignoring what's going on. And this is very much connected to next week's session as well. And I'll share with you in terms of when I first took the course a long time ago, when I was told to really just experiment, be very open, be gentle with just keeping the eyes open during reflection. I remember it like as if it was yesterday. And I was like, okay, I know this is challenging, but I feel like I will really benefit if I do this. And I definitely have. I've had one of the most powerful meditations when I was living in a condo across the river from the Calgary Fort. And in the evenings, there was loud, heavy metal music playing or hard rock music playing. But because of being in this practice and just not even realizing the huge benefits of keeping the eyes open was that getting used to not being affected by the things around me. I'm not shutting it out, but it's not affecting me. The more you shut things out, actually, the more they will affect you. And so that's some quick sharing about open eye versus closed eye meditation. But of course, we're here just to suggest for you to experiment for yourself and see what you find that's beneficial. And if you ever have any questions, you're welcome to type in the chat box on Instagram or on YouTube. You're also welcome to reach out to us by email if you have questions, and we're welcome to answer those directly as well. So we will end with a little reflection, and we welcome you to have the eyes open. And this will help to bridge to our next session next week. When it comes to the feeling of freedom, real freedom, what would that be like if I could honor my true values that matter to me? That I could be in the workplace, collaborating in projects with others. What if I could be sharing my ideas, others share their ideas, working together, and I would not be affected by others, clear in my sense of self, able to respect what matters to me, and free to respect what matters to others? Would that feel like a very appealing type of experience to have in the day? Such a freeing experience. And just picturing myself even open to that. That doesn't require that my eyes are closed. To start to actually be open that could be a possibility. Actually starts in its relevance to now. Keeping my eyes open has so much to do with inner honesty, inner clarity, inner authenticity, conviction, focus. Yet, as this phrase is, be in the world, but I am not of this world, not affected by this world, free, but not rejected. So thank you for joining with us this evening. We always welcome your thoughts, questions, comments. Our next session next week, again, same time, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Part 2 of Meditation 101 Myth Busting is meditation about checking out, zoning out, clearing my mind. So until next time, Om Shanti.